So in this video, we are going to look at understanding the entity and its environment, the organization and its environment. So this is according to ISA 315, which is about identifying and assessing the risks of material misstatements. And this is through understanding the entity and its environment. It requires an auditor to obtain an understanding of the entity and its environment so that they can be able to assess the risks of material misstatements. So when the auditor understands the entity and its environment, he or she will be able first to to identify and assess the risks of material misstatements in the financial statements. Yeah, because every entity has its own risks. As we said, the risks of a school are not the same as the risks of a hospital. So the auditor has to first understand the entity and its environment in order to be able to identify the risks and then assess. Then, secondly, is that the auditor will be able to design and perform further audit procedures. So after understanding the entity and its environment, the auditor will have to decide whether further audit procedures are needed, and if they're needed, the auditor will be able to decide how they are going to be designed and then performed. Then thirdly is that the auditor will be able to provide a frame of reference for existing audit judgment, for example, when setting audit materiality. So let's look at the matters the engagement team need to gain understanding of if they want to understand an entity and its environment. First is that they are supposed to understand the industry in which the entity operates. Industry whereby they'll understand the regulatory and other external factors, including the applicable financial reporting framework. Then secondly is that they'll have to gain understanding of the nature of the entity operations, its ownership, governance, investments, the structure, and then financing of that entity. They will have to first know which kind of organization is this? Is it a private organization? Is it a government organization? Is it an NGO? Things like that. Like who owns it? Is it a sole proprietor? Is it a partnership? Investments, like the structure, the financing, like where did they get the capital from? Was it through equity or debt and all that? So they have to understand the nature of the entity operations. Then thirdly, they have to understand the objectives and then strategies and related business risks that may cause material misstatements in the financial statements. Like they must know the objectives and strategies that were taken by the organization. Then they must know the measurement and review of the entity's financial performance. Then lastly is the internal control, whereby they must know the processes that were designed by management to achieve the entity's objectives.